Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is the Busy People podcast. This is the first one. We're going to talk to busy, successful people. And this is my boy, Mr. Joseph Azuly, the legend of crypto. Tell us in a few minutes how you got started with crypto and give us a couple different tips and tricks for the world. What are the best ways to go about these things?
Sure. All right. So first off, I got into crypto in 2013, Bitcoin. Then 2015, 2016, got very involved in Ethereum. Then 2018, 2019, got very involved in Solana, and then I've stuck with Solana since then. The main thing, I guess, to think about crypto is, unfortunately, back in 2017, which was like the first major run, most people, especially a whole bunch of yids, got burnt. And people were coming to them with promises and all kinds of different projects and tokens that they were going to make all kinds of money from. And in the end, everything went to zero, and people kind of just wrote off the entire sector and industry. The problem with that is that it's the wrong mindset. The same thing like with the dot-com boom, when everything crashed after, nobody wrote off the internet. We still have the internet and we still have websites. It's just the first ones that were gone, and just because you got burnt once doesn't mean it's not time to try again. Except this time when you try, don't try off of some random Twitter message that you saw, or some TikTok that you saw, or some friend that's promising that this coin's going to go up 100x. Instead, buy the things that are tested and proven, and that will still be here in 10 years and in 50 years from now, and only bigger and stronger. So specifically, the only thing that I would pay attention to is Bitcoin, Solana, Hype, and Zcash. And in short, Zcash is the anonymous Bitcoin. And as we enter into more of a world where things are run by AI, I think privacy and anonymity is going to be more and more important. And as things move on chain, naturally that moves away a lot of the anonymity. Zcash solves all of that. They've been around for years. It's by far and far the most battle-tested protocol, and they have all kinds of incredible things coming up. So I'll look at Zcash. Hype is called Hyperliquid. That's where perpetuals are traded on chain, and it's where over the weekend where commodities are traded, and all TradFi and Bloomberg terminals are pointed at finally looking at price discovery where it happens on the weekend, and at times when traditional markets are closed, Hyperliquid's where it's at. They're doing billions of dollars of volume, raking in over $1 billion in revenue right now a year, with incredible buybacks. So I'll look at Hype. Solana is where spot markets will live. So that's where NASDAQ is moving towards. It's where all stocks will be traded. It's where all commodities will be held, gold, silver, copper, uranium, all sorts of things like that. So that's where you want Solana, and Bitcoin is the king. You always want exposure to the king. It's where TradFi has the most exposure to, and it's by far and far where the most money is. Anything outside of those four is some form of gambling.
So what's your ways of? I mean, obviously you have a very creative mind and you have a background in like doing different things with clothes and other different coins for like creative minds in the world. Where do you see the AI and 3D printing and robotics tying into the cryptos?
The biggest crossover between the two is going to be the payments. All of these AI agents need some form of way of transacting between each other. And the only way that can be done within their own language at a speed and a way that they're able to verify themselves is on chain. And that's where crypto will eventually become the crossbreed between the two. The other major side of it is the actual companies themselves that are doing these things. A lot of them are doing raises within the crypto world. But that'll end up being its major crossbreed. In regards to the creative side of things, I think any industry that you work in, I think the more successful side of things is having the mindset of looking at where are people experiencing pain points and where are people just missing the boat in terms of what needs to be built to solve these pain points for other people. So you always try to look at the bottleneck and then try to solve that bottleneck. So it's usually the most money is made with the pick and axis is called, what we call it that. So a lot of the times that's the consumer facing apps that are generating revenue at unprecedented levels from any industry possible. One example of that is Collector Crypt. They're doing something like $100 million a month in revenue right now, something like $10 million in profit, and their coin is only trading at even at an undiluted value of like $300 million. So you got to look at some of these things like that, and that's where the more creative marketing side of things comes in easily. Is when you're able to identify these pain points, and then it kind of steers your direction of where you want to be investing in.
So what would you think is things that to invest, and also things that like when you invest in it, you're like it gets you trickles your mind?
I would say the more untraditional, the things that are trying to break the status quo, let's say. So where we've kind of just gotten accustomed or used to a certain way of how things are, and all of a sudden AI is coming and disrupting all that. It's sort of the in-between of where people think AI is going, where it's actually at, and then building the bridges that doesn't scare people, but helps them realize and recognize that AI can help them increasingly with productivity if used correctly. And instead of just viewing it as like this doomsday thing that's going to take your job, learn how to use it now to make yourself irreplaceable in the workforce and irreplaceable at whatever job you're in, because you helped build the backbone for this AI movement for them.
And where do you see the jobs? The jobs being that are more efficient in 10 years or 5 years from now, with AI and 3D printing and robotics?
Yeah,
where do you see the interlinear cross with robots in the future? Plus, is crypto going to be the way they pay, or like?
Yeah, that's the theory behind it, which is basically one thing to majorly pay attention to is make sure that whatever websites you do have and whatever products you do have that are available for sale or services that are available for sale, to ensure that the website is built in a way where agents are able to find it. And if they're not written in a language that they understand in, then you're not going to come up in people's search results. And as Google and every other search company goes more and more towards AI results, their agents need to be able to see your website and be able to purchase things from your website. So the idea is very simply that in order for that to happen, the back end of all these websites need to be built in a way that's agent first, rather than up until now it's been consumer first. Now agents are the consumers shopping and researching on behalf of the consumers, and therefore you need to position your products and your websites to be able to be understood and found by the agents so that the consumer can find you.
So with your business, I guess, as being crypto, of understanding from traders, what tips and tricks do you have for everyday traders that what you say is like putting money that you're ready to lose? What would you say just investing in general as a whole?
Yeah, never start investing in anything until you understand it yourself, not just because somebody told you or because you read some post somewhere. So you want to make sure that you understand what you're investing in yourself, and then understand the theory behind it and why you want to be in that space investment, because there's going to be a drawdown eventually, and anything that's a long-term horizon. But if you have conviction in the play, you have conviction in the process of it, then it's much easier to hold out during these drawdowns, because so long as the theory is still in place, then that becomes your North Star, and you just continue going. But if you don't understand why you're in the first place, and you don't have a complete understanding of the theory of why this is a good trade, then you're not going to be able to have to withstand the drawbacks, You'll end up selling at the bottoms, trying to rebuy back. You'll end up revenge trading. You'll end up trying to make back what you lost with a different play. You end up just tracing trades that way. And so long as you don't have a clear understanding from day one of what is your method, why are you investing in it, and what's your time horizon in it. Because so long as you don't have that from day one, you're going to end up stuck somewhere, some point along the way, where you're reacting to price as opposed to being prepared beforehand so that your portfolio is able to react accordingly once you have an actual plan.
And what would you say to all the different things that are costs? I'm saying like you made money and you lost money in so many different companies and businesses. What would you say to like somebody who's 10 years younger than you, or like, I don't know, 10 years younger to you? You've told me stories where like you've been in your clothing business or the different pivots in your life to even teach myself or others. Like when you lose money, what's your philosophy? Because you're a very
Yeah,
obviously person of like moving forward, and you made a lot of money and lost a lot of money, and you're able to just jump
yeah.
into things.
I mean, that's the biggest thing is you can't stay married to an idea. If you have a specific theory and it's been disproven, then it's time to move on. Because what ends up happening, unfortunately, is you end up getting married to the idea, and then you end up just dumping more and more and more money into losing, bleeding product. And only for the sake, you end up with a mindset of, well, I don't want to lose the money that I already lost. And if I just put in a little bit more, maybe I can save it. And then not only do you end up losing the money that was gone, you end up losing even the new money that you're putting into it. And it ends up just becoming a draining cash cow of draining every single thing that you have, trying to save an idea that should be put to death. So I think the major thing is you have conviction on something and you don't start it until you have that conviction. But also understand at what point, and tell yourself from day one what needs to happen in order for me to realize like, okay, this was a wrong theory. The market has proven me otherwise. Maybe I'm too early to the idea. Maybe I'm too late to the idea. Maybe somebody else has already beat it. But create a point in time, and in trading that would be called a stop loss, where you set a line in sand, where you recognize like anything below this, my theory has now been disproven. It's time to abandon it. You don't continue dumping more into something that should be abandoned.
And for me personally, I'm a very impulsive guy. I'm very impulsive. The decisions I made, and for me, I when I take action, I need to jump. What would you say to people that they have moments where they don't do versus when they do, especially in the crypto or AI, or people that are just maybe sitting on the sidelines right now? They don't know what their next move is, their next move in company
You
or
look
in
for
business.
advice. You look for advice. That's one of the a strong point of being a founder of something or of any executive positions is recognizing, knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses, and recognizing if I don't understand this or I don't know, who does, and then don't be scared to ask those people. I think people when you find somebody that's passionate about something that they do in their space, they're not going to view you as a potential, somebody who's going to try to take my job or somebody that can try to, it's a waste of time. When you're passionate about something, you want to share that with others and you want to help other people. So I think when you find that person, you recognize, I like this concept and I like this idea, but I'm also strong enough to be, admit to myself and be truthful to myself and say, I don't know how to do this properly. But this guy does. This guy did something similar and he was successful. Pick up the phone and call them. You send out a message. Reach out to them on LinkedIn. Find their number on WhatsApp. Find somehow to reach out to them, because more often than not, I think when asked correctly and politely and with respect, I think people will appreciate the fact that you reached out to them, and I think people will respond positively and take time out of their day to try to give you some tips. And after you receive that, then you can know, do I still enjoy it? Do I still think there's what to do? But part of that ADD that we all have, that I myself have extremely strong, is you get excited about something, but you can't let that excitement die. So as soon as that excitement hits, you got to put something into motion. So if the excitement hits, right away, put it down on something. Reach out to somebody, write it down, start working on something, because you need to be able to feel that accomplishment right away from step one, or else anything that you set yourself up for that you're not going to feel accomplished until you finish the first 10 steps, you're never going to get to step number 10, because you're going to reach step number 5 and then give up. So every single step needs to be its own accomplishment, its own thing that you're proud of that you did, and together with a schedule, together with a clear plan, together with a clear business plan, reaching out to the people who are already successful in that, and don't be afraid to don't be afraid, but don't be silly and not use AI. And especially at a time like this, spend a little bit of money, get the $20 a month ChatGPT plan. If you can afford it, get the $100 or $200 max plan with
Would you just use the free one?
You can, but if you're using it as you should be and trying to actually build out things, you will reach the max, the limits on the free plans very, very, very quickly. So if you are actually using it correctly, you should already be hitting the max. And the only way that you're probably not is if you're just using AI as Google. If you're just asking it to research things for you, and then not actually telling it and using things correctly to then build out things for you, whether it's internal dashboards, whether it's building out new websites, whether it's fixing up your marketing. AI can do all of these things if done correctly.
What are your tips for AI? Like, how do you use it?
Look into Hermes, HERMES. It's a project by an open source project called News Research, NOUS Research, and it basically gives ownership of your computer to an AI agent that you're then able to interact with through WhatsApp, through Discord, or any other form of messaging that you have with it. But it's able to create files, edit files, and build things, switch between different backend LLMs. It's a big rabbit hole that I suggest going down. And at the very least, if you're not going to go that deep, at the very least, set up Codex desktop if you're using ChatGPT, or Claude Code desktop if you're using Anthropic as your backend. Set them up as desktop apps. You don't use them through your web browser, because what that allows is it gives access to your computer. That again gives it access to create files, edit files, and actually do work. So not just research for you and not just find good ideas, but then actually help you actually build them out. So at the very least is get the plan, get the paid ChatGPT plan. You can't get Codex unless you have the paid plan. It's $20 a month. You set up the desktop app, the Codex desktop app, and now you have not just ideas, but you have the back end to literally become a coder and a developer. The things that people would normally have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and months and 12-person development teams somewhere around the world, you can literally do yourself on your tiny computer and increase productivity 1,000-fold.
For like real estate, because you've dabbled a little, my only question is where, because for me personally, I'm doing the research. I haven't done the more in depth, so I'll have to look into the Hermes you said. I never heard about that before, so I'm honored to be even always to get any of your time. I'm always honored. Brother Yossi is an inspiration to me.
Brother Louis is an inspiration.
But I just wanted to ask one more question on real estate. What is the AI, ChatGPT, with Claude, with Grok, with whichever platform, in your little bit of research, and you're not a real estate guy, but where does the crypto overlap with real estate? And where would you tell a guy or a gal or a company that might look into this? We're posting on YouTube, whatever. So it might be looked at from somebody. What advice would you give, a recommendation to understand the crypto real estate, either what blockchain should they look into, and then also like what should they buy? Should they buy just to live in and then build companies off trading, stay very, very diverse in the trading and invest into real estate just as an investment? Or would you do as like you've done, owner occupancy? Where do you see the overlap with artificial intelligence and crypto with real estate?
Good question. I think right now it's still being figured out. I think when it comes to crypto and real estate, one path that was tried, I think what's going to end up being the more successful version of it is like something like Parcel that ended up coming out, which is basically what people tried originally was taking a home or a project or multifamily or a hotel or whatever it is and creating a system whereby the coins represent a specific ownership within the home itself. So, for example, almost like a syndicate, except you can put in $1 or you can put in $100,000, and you get the associated payout with whatever happens with that property. A lot of people tried that. There's one specific company that's the most successful in it. They have something like 15 or 20 projects that they've done already. I'm blanking on the name. But what ended up being the more successful version of it is really as a means of tracking and investing in markets as a whole, as opposed to individual properties. So that's where things like Parcel came up, and then Polymarket and Robinhood both introduced their data into it, which is basically being able to invest in Houston as a whole, or invest in, you believe, Austin is going to be popping because SpaceX and Elon Musk is bringing people there, or you want to short California because you think that people are moving there, or you want to long Miami because you think that people are moving there. So they were able to quantify and create a market where you're able to bet on cities as a whole as opposed to individual markets. And then that obviously creates a more gambling aspect to it, and something that's a little bit more traditional with investing, and also doesn't lock you in on any specific time periods, and it also allows you to buy in with a penny or with thousands of dollars, whatever you want. But I think that's where the final crossover will end up happening. And then as with blockchain as a whole, for the sake of secure data. So right now, whenever you try to do like the entire title world is a mess, because you need to go to all the different local county offices and see who actually owns what. Are there any liens placed on any properties? The entire process is built on fractured systems without anything linking any of them. And I think eventually we'll end up with a central system that's backed by blockchain, where all this data is secured and stored in the central place where everybody can access, and this entire concept of title and things getting screwed up will eventually disappear.
And that's where you're saying deed, but you're saying the crypto aspect from the title, because I've been through it a few times now. I've dealt with titles and getting screwed over. You're saying deed versus title basically will become more.
You'll be able to verify everything instantly without having to go through broken archaic systems.
Okay, what would be like 5 books? I think I'm going to ask this to every person. What would be 5 books you would recommend on crypto or real estate that you would want to recommend to the people around the world?
I don't know. I would actually say just be careful with books, because a lot of the times by the time something ends up in a book, it's already stale and old data and info. I think there's a lot of like basic things, whether it's market psychology, marketing, understanding, anything in that aspect of things. I think those are rules that have been established and work, and it's definitely worth reading books on. But when it comes to the more finer details, something like real estate or crypto or AI or any of these kind of things, by the time it ends up in a book, it's already old, and it's already stale data, and it's already stale info. You're much, much better off using X, Twitter. Twitter is where all of your current data and info is where it's at. And you want to take the most use out of it, rather than trying to create your own feeds. You can pay $20 a month, get Super Grok access, and Super Grok will do this all for you. So you can tell it, I'm interested in learning in AI, find me the top articles today that are discussing X, Y, and Z. And then you're gonna get the most current, up-to-date data possible. And that's really where you want to be right now. These things are moving so fast that by the time you watch a YouTube video about how to set something up, that means that Twitter has been talking about it already for the last month. And then it just took somebody that took their time to make a half-hour long video to then post it on YouTube. But by the time it reaches there, they're probably already on to the next thing. And in this space, like, you want to be at where the frontiers are, because you'll just get lost and you're just missing out on so much.
But is there 3 books, as I see on your table, Tanya, or
Jewish books? Yeah.
Jewish,
Jewish books, must reads. Yeah.
Yes, give them 5 books that you read on a daily basis. I'm sorry if I asked the questions wrong.
That's okay.
But
must read Jewish books
or non-Jewish, whatever you want.
The Lost Princess. No, I'm gonna go Jewish. The Lost Princess by Rabbi Klein is a #1 must read. What else? If you can find somebody to learn it with, the Noam Elimelech from Rabbi Elcha Mezhenska. Again, if you can find somebody to learn it with, or Artscroll did put out an English version that's incredible. It's a Kedushas Levi from Levi Yitzchak ben Sarah Zissel? No, Sarah. Oh, I'm blanking.
You're good, bro.
Anyways, Kedushas Levi. Tanya is a must read. And books about Gedolim. So there's a Feldheim book on Rav Shai ben Moshe from Akira Steer. That's
mine is my favorite is the Ribnitzer when I read every.
Say the Ribnitzer. That was gonna be my next one I just said.
That's like one of my favorites.
Signs on Ramitz ben Moshe. That's an awesome one. Any one of these things.
That's changed my life. That book.
Yeah, there's so many of these.
I just, in closing on this conversation, want to ask you, from your childhood, I know this, most people do this in the beginning, but we got all business for a second. Can we get like 1 minute? Where do you think crypto or people that are highly successful, busy people, what do you think their childhood has to do with their business life, and what in your life, as you've been through different ups and downs with your family, where do you see that challenging, or where do you see in your journey today at the age you are with kids today, where do you see the world of all these different things, as we're discussing crypto and artificial intelligence and Google and all these things? Where do you see it just for yourself, and give the people around the world something in your business / personal life?
Yeah, I think the main issue that I see people fall trapped to is thinking that they're stuck and chained to a specific mahalach, a specific path that they need to take, without stepping back and realizing like maybe this worked 30 years ago, but just be realistic and look at the data of what it supports now, and recognize that, as an example, you don't need to have a university degree anymore for the sake of getting a job. You need a university degree or a college degree for a specific field that requires you to have that degree in order to do it. So you want to become an accountant, you want to become a lawyer, you want to go into medical, you want to become a teacher. These are all things that require you to have a degree. The problem that I see happening, again, and this was a problem when I was younger, and I think even more so now it's a problem, is people ending up with degrees that don't actually get you to a specific place. It's just for the sake of the paper. And the problem is the paper doesn't get you anything now, because one of the major shifts that's going to happen now with AI is the concept of training on the job, and paper pushers and entry-level positions are going to disappear. Why pay an entry-level position of 40 to 60K a year when somebody that just got out of college that has no experience in anything, that you're going to have to train, when for your $200 a month Claude plan, we'll get you 10 of these people solving everything that you
I mean, but I will just push back there for a second.
Sure.
For me, in my journey as talking to entry level people, I mean, you have your ups and downs. You have your moments in your life where this person might be able to do something low level. He might know IT, or he might know computers, or he might have a computer science degree. I'm very anti-college, actually. I didn't go to college. I'm very, actually, the opposite. Most people might flame me around the world. But I think you're also that way, anti the college. But I do see where the low entry level job can be for somebody who has, right now, they need 50 grand, 100 grand, and
we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. Of course, you need entry level positions, but
what is that?
Talking about planning your career around that.
Yes.
It means that when you're in school, when you're in college, you're not stuck right now that you need 50K. We're talking about that you're 18, 19, and you're putting yourself in school right now for the next 4 years.
Yeah, that's.
Ask yourself now, in 4 years from now, is there going to be these entry level positions? And the answer is no. You don't need to trust me on it. Just look at the data. Look how many companies they're at unprecedented level rates of cutting.
But aren't they spending millions, hundreds of millions? I saw what's the name on like the top 0.1% of AI developers.
That's developers. We're not talking about AI developers.
Or no AI app.
Those are not entry level positions. When I say entry level positions, I mean the paper pushers. I mean the people whose job up until now was to just take some files and put it on Excel for you, so that accounting has the data of what to pull from. Those 20, 30K, 40K level entry level positions that are taught on the job, that are kind of just, you need these fillers of spaces that are in between things, those are all going to disappear.
And as I asked earlier in this conversation, what do you think is going to become, like, in 5 years from now?
The
Like
answer,
what?
the answer is very clear. The answer is
What is more
to
going to
spend
grow?
the time
What's
right
what's
now.
what's the growth in AI? Because every single thing went gold, right? When the internet 2000, I talked to some people that I talked to one guy. He had a gold star, but he didn't adapt or pivot. What do you think is going to
That's
come
exactly what's
up?
happening right now. And you see it happening in private equity. The largest buying right now of private equity is buying out these like archaic doctor offices that haven't been brought up to date. And then they're turning them into AI first management places, and they're able to bill significantly higher. They're able to run much nicer stream of operations and become actually profitable. So private equity sees this happening already now. It's all these industries that are stuck in operations and using back-end services from 10, 20 years ago. They're recognizing now that this is where private equity money is going to, is buying out these services, buying out these companies that have already done the hard work of getting the customers, except now that you have it, introduce new implementations and new ways to do things, and all of a sudden you cut back 30, 40, 50% of costs, and all of a sudden you're making double the money that you're making before.
Listen, honor to always talk to Brother Yossi. Busy people, get busy with whatever you can. And busy people around the world, I love learning from all people.
And you gotta hit Louis up. Louis is the man. Whenever you need anything, you need to know somebody in real estate and somebody in multifamily, somebody who's got some closeout products, a buyer, a seller. Louis's phone book's got somebody for you. So don't underestimate Louis. Don't underestimate the connections that he has. And he's not looking to get anything from you. Once he closes a deal for you and once he hooks you up, you'll give him something. But Louis is the man. Louis got the connections, and make sure you take advantage of that.
Thank you.